Hey, welcome back to the Six Figure Mastermind. Today we're talking about Instagram again. It's one of my favorite topics and how to use highlights in Instagram for your business. Stay tuned. So if you're on Instagram, you may have seen this new feature called highlights. Highlights are a section of Instagram that really encapsulates your stories into these little different categories, and you can actually use them to promote your business. Now remember, first things first, if you're using Instagram for business, get an Instagram business account. You absolutely have to have that carte blanche, okay? You're going to be able to track your analytics and do so much more because you have an Instagram business account. Okay, you want to see what's working for you. So right now I'm going to walk you through how Instagram highlights are working for you and how they're working for your business. Okay, so first things first, you're going to go to your phone, you're going to open up Instagram, and you're going to go to your page. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like to have Instagram highlights on and to have Instagram highlights off. Now in my account on Instagram that doesn't have any highlights, now this is a personal account, it has room for highlights, but I haven't put anything in there. So this is what you're going to see. It says story highlights, keep your favorite stories on your profile, okay? Now remember that profile stories only last 24 hours, but highlights stick around forever. I mean, until you take them off, they're there. So imagine all of the different applications for this. You can use highlights to show off your favorite products. You can use highlights to share testimonials. You can use highlights to give tips and tricks. You can use highlights for quizzes and polls. I mean, there are different ways to get highlights and to get interactions from those highlights. But this is a really cool way to get real. Highlights can tell people that you're actually using your Instagram on a consistent basis because it's full of stories. And stories mean, hey, I'm using Instagram right now. So this is what you're going to see, this highlight section. Now let me walk you through my Instagram that actually has a highlight section. And again, this is my Instagram this is my experimental Instagram that I get to do all my cool fun stuff before I bring it to you guys, okay? So this Instagram has several highlights that I have put together. So this is my travel blog, so I'm saying, okay, I want to do a highlight for each region of the world that I have visited. So I put all of these together and I said, look, cool, here's a Vietnam highlight, here's a Thailand highlight, here's a Cambodia highlight, here's a Utah highlight. That's what I call home. So if I click on that highlight, I'm going to see all of the Instagram stories that I put in that highlight as part of that story or as part of that little group that I've put together, okay? Now let me show you some other Instagram profiles that are actually using this tool very, very well. One of my favorite people to follow on Instagram is the Bucket List family. The Bucket List family, you've probably heard of them. They're a traveling family that travels the world together. Now they have used highlights on their account and they've taken these little circles and put little icons in them that are their brand, okay? So FAQ, this is perfect. Frequently asked questions and hopefully are helpful answers. So this is a highlight section that they've put together as a compilation of stories that they've already published. How did you get started? Answer, it all started with an idea and a list. Now, if your Instagram is popular enough, you can actually have this option to swipe up and see more. This will redirect you to whatever the channel owner or the Instagram owner has redirected you to. You can have it redirect to a YouTube channel where you're going to watch the full clip. You can have it redirect to a landing page, but your Instagram has to be pretty substantial in order to do that. Not everyone's Instagram will have that option to swipe up, okay? So they have another one with gifts, okay? Gifts from them to you. They have another one with favorites, shop, videos, itinerary. Now imagine if you're in business for yourself and you've got a product line to sell. You can use those highlights to demonstrate your product line. If it's a demonstrable item, okay, let's say you're in the cosmetics industry. You have a highlight for lipsticks, and you can show all the applications and different colors of lipsticks. You have a highlight for blushes, and you have a highlight for cosmetics. Maybe you are in the dog kennel business, okay? You can say different activities that you do with a dog, different people, their clients, FAQ. That's a great place for all of that. Essentially, highlights are kind of a way that Instagram has let us use Instagram as sort of a website with a drop-down menu, where you can use them for anything that you want. Here's what you need to remember though. The stories aren't going to be very long. the stories within the highlight, you have a limited amount of time. You also don't have volume on those. So anything that you want your client to understand is either going to need to be anything that you want your client to understand is going to need to be conveyed through text over the highlight or just within the video itself that you can demonstrate. They won't have any sound, all right? So remember those things. Now that I've kind of shown you what highlights can be used for, let me just walk you through actually how to create one on your own. First thing you need to do is actually post some stories to your timeline. And I'm going to do a whole separate video on how to do that, but let's assume you have some stories already in your queue. Whether they're expired or not, doesn't matter. You can still use them. So first things first, you need to go to your account and click on New. This is going to bring up all of your highlights. Now for me, I like to have these little icons in my highlights, so I need to create a new icon. So I'm going to go over to another app that I love to use called WordSwag. And there's plenty of different apps that allow you to create these little memes and things like this. I use the WordSwag to create mine. Let's see. So this is WordSwag, and you can do so many things with it. You can use your own photos. You can use their stock photos. I use this to create my highlight thumbnails. I'm going to go to my library and look up the photos that I want to use for my WordSwag app. Now I've got this photo right here that I use for all of my highlights. I'm going to go to Next. I'm going to use the font that I always use, and now I'm going to change the font to say Hollywood. Say Done. I'm going to change the color to black so that we can see it. I'm going to move it into the right position, size it the way I want it. This is such a simple, easy process, you guys. This used to be so difficult. You used to have a degree in design to get these things. Now I like my words to be underlined. Okay, now I've got it. It's done. So I'm going to click Save. It's going to save it to my camera roll. Now I'm going to go all the way back to Instagram, and now look at this. If I were to go to my highlights, I need to add a new story in, all right? Because I don't have this little highlight in my stories yet. Remember, you can only put things in your highlights that are already in your story. So I'm going to go home, swipe right, and that's going to allow me to add something to my story. So if I do that and I go all the way back up to that brand new image I made, there it is. Boom. All right? Size it to fit. Make sure it has the same filter that I have on all of my other highlights, and say Add to Story. Boom, that's done. Now I can go back and click New. All right, now I should be able to find my Hollywood and my Hollywood story to add in there. I'm going to click Next. Now I can go. You can go through your stories and check everything that's relevant to that highlight. I know that that's the only one I've added. There's another one. Now I didn't know that was the only one. Oh, they're both in there. Okay, so I've added all of my Hollywood stories, put them together, and now I'm going to say Next. Edit cover. Remember, I just designed that cover. I want to make sure the right one's on there. So I'm going to scroll over, make sure it's in the right little spot there, click Done, and I'm going to type in the word Hollywood. Click Add, and boom, there it is. Now I've got my Hollywood. I've got all the stories that are relevant to it. It's all right there, and I can go back and delete these if I want. It looks like I have a duplicate in there. That's totally cool. I can go back and delete that. In fact, why don't I do that right now so you can kind of see what that looks like. I'm going to take this one out because I already have a duplicate of that I like better. Click Done. And now I have my Hollywood. It's all done. My highlights are all updated, okay? I haven't found a limit on the highlights yet. You may find one if you do enough of them, but I haven't found it yet. And you can do any highlights for anything that you want. Very simple walkthrough. With the only thing to remember is that it has to be part of your story before you can put it in your highlights. It'll stay on your story for 24 hours. It's going to stay in your highlights indefinitely. Hey, thanks for watching today. I'm curious about what your highlights are going to be. Tag me in Instagram. I want to see what you're doing. Also, if you want to work directly with me and see what that looks like in growing your six-figure business, click on the link below and let's chat. See you tomorrow.